Test. Audio works.
What's happening? And we're off to a good start. Video's up. They fixed the lights for us. Audio work. Yeah, streaming stuff. Same link. Audio sounds good. How are you? I'm good. There, they tweaked that one on the right, and then I'll put in another one on the front. I think that's how unless we're gonna try to stop on that makes it really be like.
Yes. Awesome. I got some cake. So, no, I can't get money for okay. You can't even go home now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin shortly. To preserve the integrity of the ceremony, please silence all electronic devices. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jason Newcomer, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here today. The men and women of the United States Air Force pay special tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Edward J. Irick III on the occasion of his promotion to colonel. The presiding official for today's ceremony is the Vice Commander, 42nd Air Base Wing, Colonel Jeremy L. Wade. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Major Janelle Edwards and the invocation by Chaplain Rick Steen. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly old at the twilight's gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, when the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rolled away, their bells bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I'm going to ask you to be seated. So lead us in prayer. I invite you to join me. We gather this afternoon to celebrate and rejoice with the Irick family Trey promotes to the rank of colonel. This is a significant accomplishment in his military career. As a cadet from at the Air Force Academy to combat rescue officer to deputy chair at Air Command Staff College, and now as a student at the Air War College, Colonel Irick has had a stellar career. But he realizes, and we realize, that success and professional achievement are not our own doing. There are many who have influenced and encouraged him along the way, while your providential hand guided him. On this celebratory day, we give thanks. Thank you for his family who have supported and encouraged him, for his parents who shaped and influenced his formative years that have led to this day. Thank you for the sacrifices his wife and son have made on behalf of his service to our country. I ask that your hand of blessing would continue to be upon them as they embark on new adventures together. And as Colonel Irick assumes the responsibility of this new rank, the expectations and demands of leadership will increase. But he is equipped and prepared for the task ahead. And I ask, Lord, that you continue to grant him grace to serve with excellence and integrity. And may wisdom, temperance, and courage, may they continue to exemplify his actions. I pray all of these things in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Major Edwards, for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem, and thank you, Chaplain Steen, for that very special invocation. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. At this time, I would like to introduce our guests of honor. Please hold your applause until we have recognized all of our guests with us here today. Lieutenant Colonel Irick's wife, Robin Nunquay Irick, son Jalen. Joining us virtually, his daughter Jordan, his parents, Sergeant Major retired Jay and Marilyn Irick, his sister, Ebony, and her husband, Sean Hadnot, his aunt, Kathleen, and her husband, Dennis Bell, his aunt, Wilhelmina Darby, his aunt, Flossie Darby, his aunt, Valerie, and her husband, Tony Rainford, his uncle, Louis, and his wife, Lavisa Darby, and his academy family, Senior Master Sergeant Retired Jerome Lewis, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Gillum, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Payne, Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Jones, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Folsom, Major Daniel Walker, and other family members from across the U.S. Also joining us, the wife of the presiding official, Ms. Christina Reed. We would also like to recognize the distinguished visitors attending virtually and in person. Joining us in person, the Vice Commandant, Air Command and Staff College, Colonel Heather McGee, Professor, Air Command and Staff College, Dr. Ryman Baines. Joining us virtually, Vice Admiral Retired Kevin Scott, Senior Executive Service, Ms. Jill Stiglitz, Colonel Tim Curry, Colonel Terrence Adams, Colonel Retired Michelle Gardner-Ince, and Chief Master Sergeant Matthew Wells. We are honored to have so many esteemed guests attend today's ceremony. We welcome all of our senior leaders, commanders, directors, senior enlisted leaders, friends and family. Thank you for attending. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the presiding official for today's ceremony, Colonel Jeremy Reed. So before I get started and gushing and Mr. Edward J. Irick III, aka Trey, one of the 30 years Trey, for most of this talk today. I want to just thank his family. I want to thank Robin Nunquay. I want to thank Jalen. I want to thank your daughter Jordan out there in BTC. And also I want to thank your father and your mother. Your father, Edward Sr., the second, and your mother, Marilyn. But what we want to talk about is just legacy and history today before we promote Trey. And Trey's father is retired Sergeant Major in the United States Army. So Trey's development as a young man has been about service. And I will tell you, it started very early on. Trey, and some of you may know some of these stories, and maybe not. I'm going to kind of go through his career and catalog it a little bit, but Trey and I go way back. And when I say way back, I mean 2001 way back. So we've known each other when we were first lieutenants, but before that, Trey decided to attend the Air Force Academy, and where he played soccer and had a mediocre academic career. At least that's what we discussed. But he got through, and that's ironic because now he's instructing at Air Command and Staff College. So that's a little odd and funny to me. But Trey was about service and about being a trendsetter. And right out of that experience at the Air Force Academy, he was commissioned, and then he was given a job there at the Air Force Academy. And you guys got to around, so COVID's got me kind of anchored over here. But Trey started his career as an advisor to the dean of students on minority affairs. And I'm going to come back to that here in a second because he not only was looking for talent to come to the United States Air Force, but he was a rare talent in himself. He leaves the Air Force Academy and then he goes to RAF Lakenheath, where his daughter Jordan was born during that time frame, and he met this crazy first lieutenant who was in the services named Jeremy Rood, and they called him JR. And JR needed a lot of help. JR was out and about, and through conversations with Trey, and as we were friends and built this friendship, and it culminated, Trey says, hey, I'm interested in going to be a battlefield combat airman. And at that time, we didn't have officers who were now known as CROWs, combat rescue officers. But he knew about this program, and all the time Trey was working out, he was swimming, he was running, and I'm like, this dude is crazy. But at the same time, he was the epitome of a wingman, because oftentimes he rescued me from some of the finest watering holes and establishments in England. I think the White Hart in Newmarket, I think it was Brazilians and the Barry St. Edmunds. So you always had my back. You kept me out of trouble, and when I needed you and I made a phone call, you were always there to look out for me. At that point, I departed, and he kept doing his thing in the contract and career field, but he was still getting ready, and then he got that phone call to be a CROW. So he heads off to Kirtland. And what Trey didn't know at the time was he was the first African-American candidate to become a CROW. But let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about being a CROW, what that entails. First of all, there's only roughly about 180 CROWs in the Air Force. So this is an elite bunch of individuals. They're our Special Forces branch in the Air Force. So they're equivalent of SEALs, they're equivalent of Delta and Rangers and all the people who get on the sexy pub and whatnot. But these guys, I worked at SOCOM for 2 years, and I'm going to tell you, every last special operator from SEALs to Rangers to guys on Delta will tell you the best trained, the most effective and prepared special operators come from the Air Force. Trey's one of those people. First, you got to go through a pre-screening, which they have you swimming. I think the number was 1,500 meters in one set. Now, let me tell y'all something. In a 50-meter swimming pool, I might get from this end to the other end, and then I need a lifeguard, I need CPR. 1,500 meters. Okay? Water confidence. Then he goes from there, and then he goes into indoctrination, which is just more what we call getting beat down and yelled at and all that stuff. But he makes it, he screams. So now he goes on to the other parts, the advanced parts of his combat rescue officer training. He goes to Fort Benning to jump out of airplanes. Then he goes to Key West to learn how to dive. And then he does Halo, which is high altitude, low opening, jump, static, free jumping, all of these things. This guy that y'all talk to all the time, this humble guy is a real badass. He is. But you would never know it. He never walks around with his chest poked up like, look at me, I'm a tough guy. But he's that guy. So after that, he finishes his training. He goes over to Davis Monthan to the 48th Rescue Squadron there as an assistant or a team commander, and then later on as assistant DO there. That's it. That's when his son Jalen was born. So he's well on his way in his career. but some other things start happening, right? So now they see that this young man has the ability not just to be an, but also he's smart, he's intelligent, and he understands the career field, he understands the Air Force, and they send him to ACC in their requirement shop for combat rescue officers, and he's the branch chief there doing requirements, sourcing requirements, making sure those battlefield airmen are going to the right places at the right time. Langley Air Force Base there, then he just goes right up the road there to the Pentagon. He goes up there, kind of doing the same thing, but he's in the Pentagon, but then they make him the career field manager. At this point, you were a major at that time? Most career field managers are colonels. So he's doing as a major on staff at the Pentagon. So then they kick him back out of there, they send him back out to the 48th Rescue Squadron to be what? The squadron commander. So now he's a commander, leading airmen, combat airmen. He does that stint, they said, look, we got to bring this talent back to the Pentagon. So then he goes, well, not exactly to the Pentagon, we were in the Pentagon shop, but they had you over at Fort Belvoir. And at Fort Belvoir, he was working as a deputy director's action group leader. So that talent just keeps bubbling and bubbling and bubbling, right? He keeps doing what he's doing, and he gets recognized. And then they send him over to the Joint Staff, to the J7, where he then was a special assistant to Vice Admiral Scott, who's on the video here watching from a remote site. During that time frame, we went back up. I'm at the Pentagon, I'm at the Colonel's Management Group. My career is going pretty good, and we're looking at each other like, who chose us? If you went back to 2000, 2001, we're like, oh, they might not be in the Air Force in 2 weeks, let alone a lieutenant colonel at the Pentagon. So he's trudging along, he's working hard, and then he heads out here to be an instructor. And he's here at Air Command and Staff College, and he's working there, and this thing comes out, and it's called selection list. And he gets promoted to the greater colonel. And I knew he was going to get promoted. So he was a little angst, there was a little anxiety during the process. He's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to promote. Like, man, don't worry about it, you're going to get promoted. If anybody gets promoted, you get promoted. And it happens. And here I am looking at my friend, my buddy, for almost 19 years, 20 years. I used to say he was my little brother. No, he's all grown up. And I look up to you. And I look up to your leadership. You're an outstanding man that has all the things we want officers and airmen big A to be. His integrity is impeccable. He puts service before himself, and he's dadgum excellent. Matter of fact, he's outstanding. Earlier on, I asked you to put a pin when I said he was the first Crow nominee. But what I want to do before we promote this young man and I stop talking is I want to highlight a couple of things. He was not only the first African-American Crow nominee, but he was the first that screamed and became an actual Crow and got a beret, and then from there went on to be the first African-American squadron commander. And now today, we look at the first African-American Colonel Crow in the United States Air Force. It has been a long, hard road, ups and downs, and it's going to continue to be. But as I say, with success comes more challenges, and there's going to be more challenges. But I know you're up to the task. We're going to promote you here in minutes, but I want your family to know, your family out there to know, the type of man that you are. And I'm super, super proud of you. And every day we talked about being relevant and being people of integrity. And people can look up to us and say, if they can make it in the Air Force, I can. You're the epitome of that, my friend. So we're going to get this out of the way. We're not going to belabor the point. Let's make some history. Let's promote the first Crow, African-American Crow Colonel in the United States Air Force. Public order. Attention orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust in the patriotism, integrity, and abilities of Lieutenant Colonel Edward J. Irick III. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the higher grade, Lieutenant Colonel Irick is promoted to the grade of Colonel, United States Air Force, effective 1 August 2020, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant Colonel Irick's family will now pin on the new insignia. He's about to do that. That's my word. Well, thank you, Ms. Irick and Jalen. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Colonel Reed administers the oath of office to Colonel Irick. I'm going to let y'all know this is the most stressful part of the day for me. Because we're going to do this without a safety net. Please raise your hand and repeat after me. State your name. I, Edward J. Irick, have been promoted to the rank of Colonel in the United States Air Force. Have been promoted to the rank of Colonel in the United States Air Force. I do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. And I take this obligation freely. Without mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well. And faithfully. Discharge the duties. Of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Air Force's newest colonel, Colonel Irick. So I can say this moment is something I thought I would get to. Colonel Reed, thank you for your friendship, words. You're the best hype man ever. So, that's the man you want to come and bring you out. Colonel McGee, Dr. Dames, Dr. Swine, Dr. Mazel, Professor Kamina, thank you all for coming out. I know you guys are very busy. To my classmates, thank you for joining us. To my neighbors, thank you for coming out. To the math folks, thank you. All my members from ACSC, my students, my fellow instructors, thank you for coming out. Thank you for spending time today. I would have never thought that I would get here because you get my words. It's been a long road. It's been a long road, and the thing that I can also say that I come from a long heritage of military people. All right. My great grandfathers, one fought in World War II, one fought in Korea, father fought in Vietnam. So, yes, service is what I know. So it's been a pleasure and an honor to do what I've been taught from day one and be able to carry it on. So I am the only of my family. So all of them have been enlisted as far as Retired Sergeant Major. So you can tell I got my raisins early. I would not have been to this point without friends, mentors, family that have made this possible. For those of you that are here to make it, to one able to make it here, I know I don't do this on myself. I do this on the shoulders of giants. It has been my senior COs, Chief Wells, Chief Atkins, that made this possible. It's been my teammates, Jesse Flynn, Matt Schroeder, Jose Cabrera, Mike Hayek, who else we got out there? Blake George, that made this possible. Teammates who supported me, teammates who were with me from day one, that made this possible. My mentors, Michelle Gardner-Nance, Colonel Michelle Gardner-Nance, Colonel Terrence Adams, my bosses, Joe Stiglitz, 17 years old, I was young lieutenant, and said, hey, I'll support you. I'll get one of my contracting officers to go off and do this. I've been here because of her. DJ Dennis, who's one of those men who believed in me, who helped me to become a man of quality and man of speaking capability when I was an mission advisor, who always allowed that. Vice Admiral Kevin Scott, one of the epitome of a black naval operator. He was the senior black aviator in the Navy. He took me under his wing. He said, hey, we're not going to ride, and we're going to figure this out. We're going to make it happen. So I thank you, sir, for your support. Ms. Shepard, one of the kindest ladies ever, SES, who had to deal with all kinds of sexism as she rose through her time in the Navy to become a SES 3-star equivalent. Major General Tom Deal, who's always been someone I can always reach out to whenever I had a question. Major General Charles Corcoran, who's been a mentor of mine and a true friend. So I've had senior leaders in the current chief staffs, Sean Dave Goldfield, John Charles Brown. Had the pleasure of learning and watching them not only in action, but also receiving their tutelage of what right looks like. And it's because of them I can honestly say I've got to some success. To those of you out there that I might have missed, please know it's because of your support that I've been successful. My family, Jordan Jail, love of my life. You have dealt with always his death, always seen me go. Never know if I'm coming home.
And thank you. Mom and Dad, I'm the man that I am because of you. And I thank you. To my aunts that raised me, to my aunts that pushed me, I say thank you. Aunt Bill, Aunt Flossie, Aunt Val, Aunt Kathleen, thank you. To my uncles, Uncle Lewis, who's really my cousin, my cousin Daryl, Mike, Kenny, who've always told me to go out there and do something. My cousin Kenny actually set the bar. He said, I'm going to med school. I'm like, damn, I better step up my game. So I said, I can do the next best thing. I go in and rescue. So and for that, I want to say thank you all. I thank you all for joining me today. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. To the lady in red, I am not able to do what I do without you. And I thank you. I love you. And I appreciate all the sacrifice you guys made to put up with my schedule and what I have to do. To the team that made this possible, Jason, Damon, Jamil, Jasmine, Sergeant Howard, Kevin Foley, thank you. Alex, where's Alex at? Alex is hiding. Thank you for making this possible. Again, I look forward to wearing this rank and doing the things that Colonel should do by helping those who don't get hurt, by fighting a good fight, and not being scared to take a seat at the table. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to COVID-19 and the wearing of masks, there will be no singing of the Air Force, but please rise for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud of Colonel Irick and look forward to working with him as he takes on new challenges. Thank you for attending today's ceremony and have a great Air Force Day.